CMOS LSI circuits, and today is October 5th, 2020. So we have learned about CMOS inverter and its characteristic. Also, we talked about SIMICA and we learned how to do the simulations on that. So now moving forward, there is one characteristic which is left, which is very important for any CMOS inverter, which is power consumption. You might have two kinds of power consumption. One is static and one is dynamic power consumption. So static is the one where you are looking for the average power dissipation. In that also, you might be interested in something called on time. When it's on, let's say, when this is on, you are interested in finding out the average time when it's going from, like, one of the transistors is on and you can observe it. So the maximum is the one which is you have to report. There must be something called off time. So when this inverter is off, both the transistors are off, let's say, and if I want to find out the power consumption, that is known as the leakage. So when both the transistors are off by some mean, so if both the transistors are off, if this is in turn off, this is also in turn off. If both the transistors are in turn off, by the way, for such a condition, you need to create maybe one more transistor in parallel of this one, just to make sure that these transistors are becoming turn off. By input, you can't do that. Okay, so to make both the transistors off, you need to make sure that VDD is connected, this is connected, but these two transistors are off by some other transistor in parallel or maybe in series. And when you are doing this, both the transistors, even though they are off, both are off, still they are consuming some power or some current is flowing through that one. So that is known as leakage. Okay, so those are known as leakage current, and because of leakage, you might have some power consumption, even though there is no current. So such things are known as the power consumption during off time or as a leakage. So other than that, there might be the case that your input is actually changing, and with the changing input, you can measure the output power consumed at the output side, and it's happening because of the switching. So in that case, such kind of power consumption is known as the dynamic power consumption. So you are measuring two kind of power, one at here by keeping one ammeter in series of this VDD voltage source. You can find out the current flowing through this. So VDD time current is going to give you the power consumption, whereas the dynamic power is actually measured at the output where the switching action is going on. So it's not completely on or off, but it's changing, and depending on the switching frequency, this whole power consumption is changing. Depends on also supply level. However, there is one more thing, it's known as load capacitance also creates the one of the parameter because of which the power consumption is going up or down. If you look at two power consumption, one is because of VDD and one is at the output. So this is very standard equation which is known to us, that integration from 0 to infinity I VDD of t times VDD time VT, that's going to give me the power, right? So you have to integrate from 0 to infinite time for such a static power. In that case, VDD is constant, it's coming out, and this is nothing but CL times dVO by dt. And you can see that dVO by dt is going from 0 to VDD only. So that's the worst case, which is VDD. So VDD can also come out, and the overall thing is going to be okay. So in this case, CL is also coming out, and CL times VDD. When you are taking from 0 to VDD, dV out, it's going to give you CL VDD square. So that's the static power consumption. So it's depending on how much big power you are using. Here, if you are using 130 nanometer, where supply voltage is 1.2 volt. If you are using 180 nanometer, the power supply is around 1.8 volt. If you are using 250 nanometer, where the supply voltage is 2.5 volt. So you can see that as the technology is bigger, the power consumption is bigger, because the static power consumption is CL times VDD square, where as you are shooting this up, the power consumption is also increasing. Notably, this load capacitor is also increasing in the bigger technology node, because let's assume that this is not here, and if it's self-loading, so these transistors size W by L of NMOS and W by L of PMOS in bigger technology node will be bigger value rather than the smaller technology node. As you are increasing this, the oxide capacitance or whatever the capacitance are there, here actually at the output side you are going to see this capacitance and another one which is between source and body. So those capacitance you are going to see, and all the capacitances are depending on width and length. So ultimately, whatever the capacitance you are seeing here, which is acting as a load, is going to be increased. So as you are going for the bigger technology node, the power consumption will be higher. Whereas the lower technology node, the power consumption will be lower, as VDD is also lower and CL is also lower. Okay, if you are interested in just to check what is happening when you are interested to find out the output power, so the equation remains same, it does not change. But if you are looking at the second part where CL is coming out, and V out is not a fixed value, by the way. V out is changing with respect to time, and when its input is going from 0 to VDD, the value of V out is varying. So we have to keep this one inside. It's not a static value, so it's not a constant, so it cannot go outside. So this is V out times dV out, and when you do the integration, you will find that it's CL VDD square by 2, right? So it's also very common, and you must have derived such equation with half CV square. That's the energy for such a dynamic power consumption. But this is only the energy. But if you're looking at the power, you can see that it's not only CL and VDD, but it's also depending on the frequency. Or you can say that you have CL dV out by dt, that's n times VDD, that's the power. So if you look at this, CL delta V out times VDD times delta F, that's the power consumption for any system. So you can see that from here it's derived that dynamic power consumption is CL times VDD square times frequency, going from 0 to 1, and of course 1 to 0 also, right? It's not only one side. Right now we are talking about 0 to 1 because of this figure, but if you are not talking about that, then it's actually for any other side it will be 1 to 0 also. So there are three parameters for the power consumption: the load capacitance, VDD, and the frequency of operation. By the way, frequency of operation is decided by the fact that what is the input square wave you are giving. We also learned that this input square wave is depending on the TPHL and TPLH. Your input square wave has to be at least 10 times what you have TPHL or TPLH. Whichever is bigger, you have to if both are equal, then you can take this. Otherwise, whichever is the higher, you have to take that equation. and accordingly you can design the input frequency. Otherwise, if you don't do that, then the output, like you are giving this input, but output might be look like this one. If you remember, we have done such simulation also in SynMica, that with value of CL and value of W by L, you can actually fix this also, right? So this is what power consumption is. And other than that, there is one more thing. I'm just, okay, so I'm asking you question. Okay, somebody has to answer me. So there are various gates are there. Okay, so if I have 5 gates, which gate is going to consume more power? Which gate is going to consume more power? Can you answer, somebody?
Sir,
Okay,
exclusive OR.
exclusive OR. And why?
So because more number of gates will be required to form XOR gate.
No, look, all are required only one gate. Look, this is AND, this is OR, and till now we have not learned what is inside it. Okay, this is one more thing. Okay, so you are talking about this exclusive OR, NAND. By the way, who gave this answer?
So
Huh?
Divya.
Raman. Okay.
Divya
Divya.
Agarwal. Divya
So
Agarwal.
Divya, your answer is correct, but your reasoning is wrong. Okay.
Sorry, sir.
No, not sorry. You can think about something else. Let's say all have same number of inputs. You are in the right direction. Okay. Others can also answer. What is so
Sir,
special
because of
about
complex
XOR gate?
operation.
Hello?
Sir, because of complex operation of XOR gate.
Okay. I'm keeping the hint. This is the hint of the question. Switching activity. Look, we have to understand one fact that power consumption is depending on three things: CL, load capacitor, VDD, and frequency. All of you agree on this, right? Going from 0 to 1 or maybe 1 to 0. So tell me in terms of these three things. Look, we are engineers, so we don't understand something in air that, look, because of complex things and all, right? You have to give the answer in terms of
So
CL.
XOR could require more transistors, therefore CL could be greater.
Okay. For you, I am making the life very easy. Let's assume that all have equal CL. I have designed such a way that all gates are having equal CL. All have equal resistances. All have equal TPHL, TPLF. So CL is gone now. By the way, as I am doing it in same technology, look, when I am comparing such a circuit, I am going to make it in a same technology. So VDD is also same. So what do you think? Third factor is left. Can you think something in this direction? Divya.
Sir, XOR gate has in the if we look at the truth table of all the gates, in most of the gates, their output is same for 3 of the combination of inputs and
Correct.
different for one input. But XOR gate has a more evenly distributed set of outputs.
Yes. So AND gate has two inputs. Like we should, like two inputs are there. So it's looking like this, right? So these two inputs are there. If you look at these activities, the output for AND gate is actually changing only once, like this. Similarly, for OR gate, it's actually like this. Whereas in the case of XOR gate, when both are both are different, then the output is one. Something like this. So there are more switching activity, or the frequency can be seen in the XOR gate. By the way, this is an interview question. All the people who are looking for job in digital side and the semiconductor industry, they are asking this, that which one is going to consume more power, and you have to give the reasoning. This is sometimes they are asking in the, you can say that it's 4 options are given and you have to choose one. And maybe when you go to the interview, they will ask the reasoning of this one. Okay. So this was the answer. Okay. So, okay. So these are the things which we have covered in the CMOS inverter, and things are pretty fine. We learn it through CMYK also. So then I can go next level, which is known as the combinational logic. So this that's the new chapter, CMOS combinational logic gates. So I'm referring same book. It's Rabe, and I'm following the chapter number 6 of this book. Okay. In this particular chapter, there are various topics are already given, like static CMOS design of combinational logics and dynamic CMOS logic. When it's static, you don't have any clock input, or it's not working at the clock. Whereas the dynamic will have some clock, or maybe it's like output is changing when you want. So those things, other than that, there are few more things which are very important to understand. Just let me know if you have not studied ever, because just I'm asking to you people. Let's start from MTech VLSI and MTech CSP. Have you studied this fan in and fan out? Yes, right?
At a time.
Yes, sir.
Yes, right? You have studied that, right? Okay. Now what about BTECs? In your previous course, do you know these words, fan in and fan out? Because I'm going to use these words now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what is fan in? Srinivas. So what is fan in and fan out?
I'm actually more comfortable with fan out. Fan out is the number of gates a single gate's output can drive.
Okay, very nice. So similar to that, can you
But
guess?
fan in, I'm
in?
not sure about.
You can try once. So fan in the one where how many inputs are possible for the given gate. So if this is the inverter, fan in is only one input is possible, and output is depending on how many gates I can drive, like this. Maybe fifth one might be creating problem, or you can say that might be load the previous input. So fan out is how many outputs you can connect at the particular node, output node, as rightly pointed out by Srinivas. And if I am looking at input side, how many inputs I can give, and what exactly we are actually bother about is fan in and fan out are the terms which will make sure that it is not going to change my digital logic 1 and 0. So this is digital logic 0 and this is digital logic 1. If I am connecting more number of gates at the output, like this here, instead of 4, if 5 are there, then the problem are like it might not able to drive that, because now the load capacitance is not only the capacitance because of the capacitance looking into this inverter, but there are capacitors which are here. Most probably all these capacitors are the oxide capacitance, which are the biggest one. So all these capacitance are in parallel, so they will be added, and that will create a problem. And these capacitances are increasing with increasing W and L. As you are increasing W by L, this is going to increase. Notably, this will reduce the resistance also. So both the things are happening together. So we don't want too much capacitance at the output. And if it is there, then what is going to happen? There will be the charge sharing. If you understand this, look, what I wanted over here, it's assume that I'm having a valve and there is a small tank. I fill it up, no problem. Notably, this is the analogy where tank is nothing but a capacitor. Tank I am considering as a capacitor, whereas the height is the potential or the voltage. And now, if I am going to connect this to a big tank, what is going to happen if I release this valve? This particular level will be reduced, and you will see that both sides the different level will be there. So V1 is here and somewhere V1 is also here. So you don't want that, means I don't want to make the output look like this one, or you can say that in a real condition it will look like this one, because the capacitance is increasing, so maybe you will not able to reach the logic one. By the way, such kind of thing which is related with the fan out, means what number of gates you can connect or how much capacitance my inverter or my logic gate can drive, is depending on the fan out. If it is not working or if it is not enough, then you have to use something called a driver circuit. So after this you can use driver, or sometimes some people call it chain of inverters, that you have even number of inverters that is going to give you the proper drive as you want. And that's a separate study. By the way, how many inverters are needed and what should be the W by L? The whole approach is known as with the name of the guy, Sutherland, who derived it. We call it Sutherland approach. Also, the name of this one is logical effort. So you need to use some sort of circuit which is going to make sure that the logical 1 is logical 1 and logical 0 is 0. So logical effort in general is a effort required for my circuit to take digital logic 1 to digital logic 1 and digital logic 0 to 0. So always some limit is given, and that limit is like, it's not given over here, but just after this we are going to study that logical effort using fan in and fan out by another book by Weston Harris. So that's the next topic which we are going to follow that. And other than that, there are various things which we are going to study. So let's start with the very important thing, that how to make different combinational logic gates using CMOS technology. By the way, we have only one technology, CMOS, and I'm also interested in only logic gates which are static one. We are not talking about the dynamic one, we are talking of the static. So if that is the case, just referring to what we have studied in the stick diagram, if you remember, that upside is always PMOS, downside is always an NMOS, and there are two rails, one is connected to VDD and one is connected to ground. By the way, this is going to be known as logic 0 and this is going to be logic 1. When you are doing this, upside will not have only one PMOS now, as we are not making just an inverter. You might have two input AND gate, NAND gate, 3 input AND gate, NAND gate, and so on. Like you can increase the number of inputs, means you can increase the fan in, you may have more number of inputs. So in that case, you might have more number of PMOS and same number of NMOS transistors will be there. And upside, if you remember, I told you that whatever you are connecting here, we are going to call such network as power up network, where you will have all the NMOS transistors, whereas in the downside, you are going to have the power down network. The name is revealing that this power up network is the one which is connecting output to the upside network. Upside network means VDD, means output becomes logic 1 when it's power up network. When power down network is on, output goes to 0. If we are looking at this one, and you can say that when output goes to 1 means you are implementing whatever the function is given to you. Function, I mean to say that if you are implementing AND gate, means if it is 2 input AND gate, the function is called A and B. And the downside, where the output is there, you are going to implement F bar. F bar is the one. Some people also write F prime. You can write whatever you want, right? F prime and F bar are synonyms, and that's going to be equal to like this. I believe that everybody knows De Morgan's law and other things, so I'm not going into that. Okay, so F function is going to be implemented by power up network, and power up network is going to be made up of PMOS. And similarly, F bar is going to be made up with power down network, and it's going to be made with the NMOS transistors. Let's use these informations and try to draw the power up and power down network. So as I have explained, you may have power up network and power down network. Power up network is made up of PMOSs, whereas this one is with NMOS transistors. This is connected to VDD, this is connected to VSS or ground, and this is the output. Now, using these information, few more informations, let's understand that. Let's assume that the function is such a way that you want to make just function with NMOS. So top side is with NMOS or the power down network. If the function says that you have to make A times B, and this is the thing you have to implement in using NMOS, then it means that there are 2 transistors which are NMOS whose gates are connected to A and B. If A and B both are 1, then whatever is available here, that goes to here. Means A and B both are on, then whatever is available here at the source side, that goes to drain. Notably, like I'm taking this source, both are interchangeable. If I have another function which is A or B, if I want to implement that with NMOS, then both the transistors has to be in parallel. Means either of these inputs are on, then whatever is available at this node can go to this side. So this was the fact for NMOS. And if you are making with the PMOS, and if you are interested in making the power up network, let's assume that you want to make A and B. So look, the functionality does not change. Both the transistors are there. You want to implement the operation of AND. Both of them has to be in the series like this, and the inputs, by the way, okay, these are the PMOS, so bubble will be there. Here you can give A and B, but here the problem is, look, if you give A and B, because of this bubble, this input becomes A bar. Because of this bubble, this input becomes B bar. Means if A bar is 1 and B bar is 1, then whatever is here, it goes to there. So this does not implement the function A and B. It implements the function of A bar and B bar. So if you want to implement A and B, you can do one thing. You can use NMOS. sorry, PMOS, two PMOS are there, but instead of A, you can give A bar. Because of this bubble, this becomes A as an input. Because of this bubble, this will become B as an input. And because of that, when A bar and B bar, like A and B, both are 1, then this is going to be here, right? So when you are going to give 0 as an input here, when you are going 0 as an input, and this also 0 as an input, then this function goes here. Means instead of A and B, you are going to give A bar and B bar, right? Now, similar to that, you might be interested in finding out A or B using PMOS. So of course, you need to keep two transistors in parallel. But unfortunately, if I am giving A and B as an input over here, means when this input is 1, this is actually acting as a 0 and acting as A bar. And similarly, this one is B bar. So this function becomes like A bar or B bar. But I am interested in making A bar and A and B. Then I just need to make small correction that inputs are A bar and B bar. And because of that, this becomes A and A or B. So I believe such things you can implement it. If you have any doubt, you please let me know. I can explain again if there is some problem. No problem, right? Okay. So in that case, let's move to the gate whose name is AND gate. Let's assume that I want to make an AND gate. AND gate has a function A and B, and AND gate has a F bar function A bar or B bar. Okay, this is just for our information. We kept it here. Note that when you are making this thing, this F is implementing the power up network using PMOS, and F bar is with power down network, and this is with NMOS, right? Or maybe like before starting this, we can make the inverter also with the same concept. What is happening? F equal to A bar and F equal to A, F bar equal to A. So this is going to implement using power up network with PMOS, and this is going to work with power down network, and this is with NMOS. If you are implementing this, upside is with PMOS. So when I'm doing this, I need to give input as A, so that A with bubble becomes A bar, right? And similarly, power down network, where there is an NMOS, you have to give input as A, so that A with non-bubble is going to give you A. So this is implementing F bar, and this is implementing F. So both are A, so you can tie it together and you can find out this function, right? Similar to that, if you are implementing this function needs to be implemented with AND gate, sorry, AND logic. So in that case, upside will have two transistors whose inputs are A and B. But note that if I am keeping A and B, A with bubble becomes A bar and B with bubble becomes B bar. So if I do this one, then this will becomes A bar and B bar. If I want to make A and B, I need to call them A bar, B bar, which are connected to VDD. This was the power up network, which we already made. Now we are interested in making the power down network, where there are two logic operations I need to do with two NMOSes. Both has to be in parallel, with the fact that these are the OR logic. Input which you need to give is A bar and B bar, because it's straight away, and from middle we can make the output. By the way, when you are going to look at the output, it's going to give you A and B, right? So you can see that this is CMOS AND gate. And with the fact which we have already talked, that it's based on the fact that upside is the power up network and down is power down network. When you are making that, we assume that A and A bar and B and B bar are available. If they are not available, you have to make two inverters, and you have to connect them here wherever it's required. Okay, so this is the complete circuit. If those A bar and B bar are not available, otherwise this is correct. So you can see here, this is the final solution. Now you might be interested in the OR gate. So OR gate, I want to make CMOS logic OR gate, which is going to have two things: power up network and the power down network. Power up network is made up with all PMOS, and power down network is made up all with NMOS. If it is two inputs, it requires two transistors of PMOS, and similarly it requires two transistors of NMOS. Power up network is the one which is implementing the F, and power down network is the one which is implementing F bar, where F is nothing but A or B, as this is the one which you want to implement. F bar is nothing but A bar dot B bar. Using De Morgan's law, we can find out this. When you are doing this, let's start with the power up network. Power up network has two transistors with all logic, so both of them have to be in parallel, whose names will be, look, this is A and B. If I'm keeping here A and B, this becomes A bar and B bar, right? So they are going to implement A bar or B bar, which is wrong. So we don't want that. We want A or B. So you are going to keep one extra bar on top of this, right? And now we are interested in finding out the power down network, where it's AND logic, means two transistors will be there in series like this, whose inputs are A bar and B bar, and from middle you can take the output, right? I believe you people might not have any problem in understanding that, right? Other than that, let's make NAND gate. So if you are making the NAND gate, CMOS NAND gate, which is static one, as we already know that we are going to make PMOS transistors with power up network and MOS transistors with power down network. As it is two input NAND gate, means you require two PMOS transistors and two NMOS transistors. PMOS is implementing F and NMOS is implementing F bar. If you're looking at F, it's A dot B and full bar is there. Means if you do this one, it looks like this one. And if you look at the F bar, it's A and B, right? So this is the one which we are going to implement with PMOS. So let's start drawing that. When you are drawing the power up network, two transistors, because of this logic OR, you need to keep both of them in parallel, whose inputs are A and B. If you are keeping A and B, because of this bubble, the effective input going inside this is A bar, effective input for this one is B bar, so it's going to implement A bar or B bar, which is connected to VDD. But where you are looking at the F bar, because of this AND operation, both the transistors will be in series like this, and you can call them A and B, and that's the output, right? You can check that will be the output, right? What else I have kept? Okay, NOR gate also. Let's try with NOR gate. So NOR gate has function F or B with bar on top. So this is F A bar and B bar, and F bar becomes A or B. So first part, F is implemented with PMOS. Because of AND logic operation, both are coming in series like this, and the inputs are A and B. Because of this bubble, this effective input is A bar, for this one B bar, and effectively this is implementing A bar dot B bar, which is connected to VDD. If I am interested in power down network, because of this OR, it's going to have two transistors in parallel whose inputs are A and B, and those are connected to output, right? So this is what for NOR logic also, and we achieved all these gates. You can try more also, but you might have different thing which you have to implement with CMOS technology. So if there is a function given to you like this, F equal to A and B plus A prime, means A prime is nothing but bar only, A bar BC, means F is available, which is going to be implemented with PMOS power up network. As there are three inputs are there, you require three transistors, whereas in the case of power down network, which is going to be implemented with NMOS, it's also required three transistors, but it is going to implement F bar. So you need to know the F bar. F bar is nothing but A bar or B bar and A plus B bar or plus C bar. This is going to be F bar. So we need to implement this one power down. This one is power up with PMOS and power down with NMOS. So when you are drawing that, the first quantity A and B are in series. But if you are keeping A and B over here, the effective inputs going here becomes A bar dot B bar. So we don't want to do that. So we are going to keep bar on top of that so that this becomes A and B. In parallel to that, the entire thing is available, which is A bar BC. Because of this AND operation, all three transistors which are of PMOS has to be in series like this. But we need to see which is the correct one. So first one, if I am giving A with bubble is going to contribute A bar. This is B, but if I am connecting only B with bubble, effective input becomes B bar. So we need to make this one B bar, so that B bar with bubble will cancel this effect and it will be B. Similar for C bar also. So this effectively, which is connected here, this is actually equal to A dot B or A bar PC. So that is what we wanted to implement as F bar, as F. Now we are interested in implementing F bar, where you can see here, I'll just make it a little bit smaller. So here, this is with NMOS, where there are two functions are in series, and inside that both are like F1 and F2 are in parallel. So when I want to do that, I can do this one. Like if I give A bar over here, P bar, that is going to implement F1, and another function which is going to have three transistors in parallel. So you need A, B bar and C bar, which is connected to ground, and this is the output, right? So that is how you can implement any function which is given to you. Okay, I believe that nobody has problem in drawing the CMOS implementation of any function, right? Not even AND gate, NOR gate. You can try with other also, XOR gate, and like whichever you like. You can write down the functions, and in case of any difficulty, you can get back to me. Okay, so now if you look at the equivalent model, this is, by the way, somebody can tell me which gate is this one, the left side, which is drawn. Please do not consider this one as bubble. These are the terminals. Okay. So
Sir,
which gate? Yes.
sir, AND gate.
Look, this is not AND gate. This is NAND.
So it is
NAND
NAND.
gate.
Yes,
AND
NAND.
gate, sir. It's an AND
Look,
gate.
the easiest way to finding out. Okay, let's practice that one because you might be getting difficulty. So if there is a gate look like this one. So what I suggest, you can do one thing. You can choose any one of the branch, like upside power up network or power down network. Any one side, just pick up that and look at the output. Means I know that output is connected to, let's assume that because I like power down, so I do everything with power down. You can choose power up also. But if you are choosing the power down, if two transistors are in parallel, means they are making the OR function, right? And power down network is F bar. So this has to be with bar has to be given. So bar of this one is going to give me NOR gate. Similar to that, if I am looking at this particular one, two transistors are in series, two inputs are there. If I'm looking here, power down is making AND, but because it's implementing bar of that, it's going to become NAND gate, right? Similar to that, you can find out others also, whichever you want, and you can write down any one of the function rather than writing two functions, because both side functions will be similar only. Either you are going power up or power down side. Answer will be same, right? Because here it's a bubble is there, right? So this is A bar or B bar. So that is going to give me NAND, right? But generally I get difficulty when it's a power upside. You have to again make it other side so that you can recognize that easily. So that's why I prefer to go with the power down. So power down gives me always a correct answer without any difficulty. And sometimes people ask such kind of questions in many competitive exam or many interview questions, that whether it's AND gate, NAND gate, and other things you need to find out. But if you are drawing the equivalent model, if you remember, if it's a low frequency, does not have any capacitances associated with these transistors, then you can replace all the transistors with resistance and one more switch. That switch is going to decide that whether it's on or off. And note that here when we are making the switch, there are two kinds of switch, normal one and another one is with bubble. So if you are using with bubble, it's exactly like PMOS. But if you want to implement that one with normal switch, you have to change the input. So here it was A, but with this one it becomes A bar, and similar to that B bar. So resistance and switch, that is the equivalent model of this one, which does not have capacitance. But if you are considering the high frequency also, then each of the node, like this one, node number A, node number B, all these nodes are going to have effective bigger capacitance whose names are CL or C int. So internal capacitance, and this is at output, that's why whose name is kept as CL, which is the load capacitance. By the way, these capacitances are measured from the fact that what capacitances are you going to see over here. So one capacitance is this one is this one. Look, this is coming because of CGS3. This is CSB3. Here again, CSB4, sorry, CDB4, CDB3, here CGS4, and similarly you can find out other, and you can see that all these capacitors are going to be added. By the way, just for completeness, one more, CSB2, and here CGS2. So the load capacitance seen over here is going to be equal to CGS3 plus CDB3 plus CGS4 plus CDB4 plus CGS2 plus CDB2. Notably, CGS and CDO all are having some equivalent models are there which you can use. So these are like half of the overlap capacity, half of the oxide capacitance, and all these things you can keep it and you can find out, or you can run just a simulation and you can find out these values which are given in like SimMICA, all these capacitance. So it's known as a cap tap or tap. I need to see. So there is some way through which you can find out these capacitances also. Okay. So this is the equivalent model. When you have the equivalent model and you have the RC, and when all these switches are on, now let's assume that you want to find out the TPHL or TPLH. If you are interested in finding out TPLH, you need to look at the power up network. So all the switches which are associated with power up, those are going to be on, and those are with the power down, they are off. So when you are doing this, you can find out the equivalent model or through the Elmo delay. So for such a case, it's very easy. It's like this one. So this is your in now, and this is the out, and you can find out the capacitance. When you are finding out the capacitance, if both the resistances are equal, then equivalently you are going to have R/2, because both the resistances are coming into parallel. So this becomes R/2 times CL, and you are interested in finding out its 50%. So this is become 0.69 times R/2 times the CL, where CL is nothing but the whole expression. Similarly, you might be interested in finding out the resistance in this case. So it looked like this one, where this was the input. Input is, by the way, 0 volt or the ground. I'm drawing from here. So from here to here. So in that case, this is my output F, and this is RP, and this is RP. Here also there is one capacitor. So if this is C int and this is CL, you can find out the Elmo delay, which says that there are two nodes are there. So C int having the path resistance of RP plus the CL, which has the path resistance of RP plus RP, which is 2RP, right? Because you have to make sure that the resistance which is coming on the path going from input to output. So in the first case, RP is subset of that, and second case 2RP, both the resistances are on path, so 2RP. But as you are interested in finding out it as 50%, this is going to be 0.69, and rest of the capacitance value you can feed over here the way we fed it, right? So this is called Elmo delay, through which you can find out. In this case, this is becoming TPHL because it takes this node to low side.